Good evening, and welcome to today's special weather forecast bulletin. We are bringing you a comprehensive overview of the meteorological situation that is and will be affecting the Atlantic Basin as well as the mainland United States in these final days of September and into the beginning of October. In just the past 24 hours, global forecast models have shifted quite significantly. These changes bring both encouraging signals and new concerns. The good news is that there are now stronger indications of drought-relieving rains returning to parts of the central and eastern states, areas that have endured extended dryness for months. On the other hand, early signs are pointing toward the possibility of the season's first cold air outbreak arriving in the central and eastern United States in early October, bringing large temperature swings that could affect daily life and agriculture. First, let us turn our attention offshore to the Atlantic, the heart of hurricane season at its peak. At present, a tropical storm named Gabrielle is active. Gabrielle formed from a tropical wave that emerged off the Cape Verde Islands, and as of this morning remains a tropical storm with moderate winds. However, all major forecast models agree that Gabrielle will continue to strengthen, potentially reaching Category 1 or even Category 2 hurricane intensity as it moves deeper into the central Atlantic. The good news is that the projected track shows Gabrielle will almost certainly be what forecasters call a fish storm, remaining at sea without direct impact on land. Still, Bermuda must remain vigilant. Even a small shift in track could bring strong winds and high surf to the island. Beyond Gabrielle, the Atlantic is also being watched for additional disturbances. Just behind Gabrielle, another tropical wave has emerged off the coast of West Africa. The National Hurricane Center currently assigns it a 0% chance of development in 48 hours, but 20% over 7 days. In other words, if it does form, it will take more time, and those percentages may rise in the coming days. Meanwhile, in the eastern Pacific south of Mexico, two areas have much higher chances of tropical cyclone formation. One has a 30% chance in 48 hours and 70% in 7 days. Highly likely to form a depression. The other has a 40% chance in both 2 and 7 days, meaning development could happen quickly. In this context, advanced numerical models such as GFS and ECMWF have been exploring long-range scenarios. One scenario of note appears between September 25th and 30th, with GFS suggesting a tropical low could form near the Leeward Islands, track close to Puerto Rico, then move toward the Bahamas. At one point, the model even showed the system approaching near Miami, Florida, yet in the same run, the system was eventually steered back out to sea under the influence of Atlantic ridges and troughs. This highlights the very high level of uncertainty at 13 to 14 days out. In other words, we cannot yet rule out impacts to the U.S., but nor can we confirm any landfall scenario. Turning back to the U.S. mainland, the Climate Prediction Center's 6 to 10 day outlook shows most of the country leaning warmer than normal through the end of the month, with only a small pocket of near-average temperatures in the south-central plains. The 8 to 14 day outlook, September 26th to October 2nd, shows the west coast trending cooler than normal, while areas east of the Rockies remain above average. However, several dynamical models point in the opposite direction, hinting at a significant cold air outbreak into the central and eastern U.S. in early October. If that materializes, it would mark the first notable cold surge of the season and a clear signal of seasonal transition. Looking back at the first 20 days of September, the pattern has been out of phase, the west warmer, while the central and eastern U.S. trended cooler thanks to a positive PNA index. A positive PNA means warm air pools over the west, opening the door for Canadian cold air to spill into the central and eastern U.S. But if warmth returns to the east by late September, monthly averages could balance out, potentially muting the early cool signal. Now let's talk precipitation, a major focus for drought-stricken regions. In the short term, rainfall and thunderstorms will mainly be concentrated over the Rockies, Plains, and Midwest, while the East Coast stays dry. But by early next week, September 22nd–23, rainfall is expected to expand into the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast, Very welcome news for areas that have lacked rain for weeks. By Sept 24 to 25, a trough along the Mississippi River Valley could trigger strong thunderstorms and even severe weather across the southeast. Then by Sept 26 to 27, widespread rain is expected across the east coast, especially the mid-Atlantic and northeast. Toward the end of the month, models also suggest a tropical low brushing the Bahamas, with potential impacts to South Florida or Cuba in early October. This development bears close monitoring. Now let's go region by region. Northeast U.S. September has been relatively dry, with some areas in localized drought. For most of the remainder of the month, conditions stay mostly dry, with only late-week showers bringing relief. Highs in New York, Boston, and Philadelphia will range 73 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 23 to 27 degrees Celsius, with overnight lows 57 to 63 degrees Fahrenheit, 14 to 17 degrees Celsius. Early October could bring a notable drop, with daytime highs falling to 62 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 17 to 20 degrees Celsius, and mountain lows dipping into the 40s, below 10 degrees Celsius. Midwest. This region will likely experience the sharpest swings. In the near term, states like Illinois, Iowa, and Wisconsin could see anomalous heat, with highs exceeding 86 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 30 to 32 degrees Celsius. Soon after, passing lows will bring scattered showers and thunderstorms, driving sharp temperature drops. By early October, a strong cold shot is likely. Daytime highs falling to 59 to 64 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 to 18 degrees Celsius. Nighttime lows dropping to the 40s, 5 to 8 degrees Celsius. This comes right during the harvest season, making conditions highly sensitive for farmers. Southern U.S., Texas to Florida, weeks of drought have placed pressure on agriculture and water supplies. Encouragingly, from September 22 onward, Gulf states, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and especially Florida, will see more rainfall. South Florida in particular may experience repeated heavy downpours, with localized flooding possible. If the tropical low scenario near the Bahamas pans out, Florida would be the first state to feel direct effects. Western U.S., from California and Nevada to Arizona and the Rockies. Rainfall will increase this week and next, especially in New Mexico and Colorado. But California's coast and Central Valley will remain locked in long-term dryness. Los Angeles and San Francisco will see highs in the upper 70s, 25 to 28 degrees Celsius, while inland valleys may exceed 95 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 degrees Celsius. Early October could bring a brief warm-up under high pressure along the west coast, while northern Rockies and intermountain states face incursions of early-season cold air. To summarize, in the Atlantic, Hurricane Gabrielle is unlikely to impact land directly, but trailing waves bear close watching. Across the U.S., after weeks of heat and dryness, late September will bring much-needed rainfall, especially in the Midwest, Ohio Valley, Northeast, and South, and most importantly, early October may usher in the first widespread cold air outbreak, marking a significant seasonal transition for the central and eastern United States. Ladies and gentlemen, these are still long-range signals with much uncertainty. We will continue to provide daily updates so that you have the most accurate information possible. If you find this bulletin helpful, please like, subscribe, and enable notifications so you never miss the latest forecast. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next program.